talk about him as a father or second father, and I haven't seen that with many other coaches.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking. So his name's Jerry Nicevaccia. He's in the New Jersey Hall of Fame, and he's in the National now. And so is his brother Joe, actually. They both were state champs for JP Stevens, go figure.
Comes full circle.
Yeah, they're still hanging up on the walls. I think there were 2 of the 3 state champs that they ever had. But my coach, Nis, he did 15 years in Elizabeth and then 50 years in Edison. And he has countless, kids that would come back to him. And I learned off him. We wound up having a special bond. Probably would say I'm one of his closest because we still are in contact, and I'm over his house a lot to this day. And he's almost like a second father, I would say, to me. It's just because we wind up learning a lot from each other. That's where I think the special connection is, because he'll tell you in all his years coaching, and he told me this, so I'm only repeating like what he said, like how when we coached together, he learned a lot because he evolved, seeing like how I started indirecting. And he would stop me at times, don't get me wrong. Like there was things I did where he was just like, all right, take a step back here. But he loosened up a little bit over time, as kids started to change. And I think I just missed the line where kids really started to change, like where it is kind of like the today society. But, that's where I feel coaching so unique, because with the 3 kids that still contact me, they picked me up when there was times that I was down, right? So all that time, it's like having your kid, right? Just kind of do it full circle, right? I have my kid, and you I'm going to be teaching her. I'm going to be doing all this stuff to get her to be as successful as possible. And then one day they're going to come back to you and help you, and that's where it's special, And I was lucky enough, even for my times when I screwed up or I was down, they picked me up. And I don't think there's really anything more you can ask for in those type of situations in coaching.
That's what it's all about, Gucci. That's the prize in the cereal box, as they would say.
Cracker Jack?
Yeah, that's the ring in the box, man. That's what it's all about. It's the hidden prize that, you're not really looking for, but, when you're in a low spot or things are not maybe 100, those kids that you were there for at certain times pick you up, man. It's a beautiful statement and a beautiful thing. Yeah,
man. If people haven't done it, definitely should got to at least try it or, study it a little bit, because it's a unique thing. And I'm at the point now just to kind of tell you where I'm at in my life, because I'm a parent. I don't coach anymore because I knew I needed to take a break. And you and me and Jimmy, we've spoke about this, but I needed to take a break for a while. I knew like my fire kind of was done. I wasn't as excited to do it anymore. But that's not a bad thing, you know what I mean? I don't think you need to do it your whole life. You could take breaks. I know my assistant coaches said that in Edison, they took 10, 15 years off. And going back to coaching this, he said that too. He's like, do your family thing, and the sport's always there. It's not going anywhere. So sometimes it's good to have that break as well too. And that's like where I'm at now. So I look back and I love all the things I did. But it's good to, kind of see it from afar now and not be involved with it, to be honest with you. That's where I'm at right now.
I think that's a special place to be because, I know I had coaches, Richie had coaches where they probably should have taken that break. They probably should have stopped 10, 15 years prior, but, the ego got in the way, or this is what I need to do. This is that extra paycheck I need to collect this season. That takes away from the kids and the kids' experience. But I appreciate you sharing that with us. And before we get you off here, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want the people to know, or where can they find you? What do they need to know about Gucci, a.k.a. Anthony Iazzetta?
Oh, God, man, putting me on the spot like that, you probably could explain me better than I can explain myself. You can find me on Twitter. I don't tweet that much because it's mostly about our wrestling. We do. That's my off time. I love pro wrestling, man. I'm gonna just say it loud and proud. So that's what I'm doing most of the time. But you can find me at Iazzetta on Instagram or on Twitter.
Best wrestler of all time.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing most of the times. But, then honestly, you ain't catching me anywhere other than the gym, working and trying to get a quick workout in. Try not to get that hashtag no dad bod, or being home with my daughter right now.
Right on. Before we get off of here, best wrestler of all time.
What wrestling are we talking about?
Professional.
Best wrestler of all time.
Wow, you hesitated. Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know why you took so long to answer that. I knew what was coming from you.
What did you say?
Shawn Michaels.
Well, you put me on a spot like that. We could talk about just showmanship. We could talk about actual technical. We could get into pretty big deal. I know. I'll stop.
Richie's getting douche chills right now, so we'll wait till Friday to run in the roast
ready
podcast.
to go to the bathroom.
Listen, I didn't plug running the roast because I didn't want Rich to come back here and kick my ass for it.
Not at all. Plug away.
Well, me and Jimmy, we got running the ropes. It's on Fridays. We're getting back at it this week. We're going to be talking everything about Raw, SmackDown, NXT. He's going to go over G1. We got it all.
Hell yeah. Thanks for joining us today, Gucci. It was an honor and pleasure, and I'm happy I finally got you and Richie on the same phone call together.
When you coming out for a Broncos game?
Right now we're shooting for September, but he said you might not be there, so I might have to reschedule. I think he's doing it on purpose, to be honest. I think he's afraid to get us together.
I'm out of town on the the weekend of the 22nd, I think it is.
Yeah, so we might have to push it to October because I think that's when. So wait, you leave the 22nd? We'll figure this out because I need to come when you're there. We really need to get our heads together. Maybe even argue a little bit about the whole Region 5 and Region 6 thing in the early 2000s and 90s.
I mean, I wasn't really paying attention from like 98, 99 until, I don't know, 05 maybe. 03.
Gucci, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to leave this and we'll let you get off. We had Gene on the podcast. Gene said Region 6 was the toughest region. So say what you will, but he's the Region 5 guy, so...
I would agree, though, because when you guys went through that, when you guys built up, I mean, that there was probably people that never got out of there. And then, again, I think that's why they wound up going with the redesign, eventually, because people from Middletown and stuff were complaining that you had good wrestlers there that didn't even get a chance to get out of state because there were so many freaking studs. It was almost like the Big Ten for like 5 years.
Yeah.
For real. So, all right, Gucci, thank you very much, sir. Have a good night. I'll talk to you on Friday.
Pleasure.
Be well.
Be well.
Take care.
All right, Richie Rich. That was Gucci. We finally got him on here.
Yeah, we got to get him out here. I know we always make contact in short, brief interactions, so it'd be good to have a weekend, show him the city, do some Denver things.
Yeah, I was super stoked on his perspective about meditating for the baby to come and how it was his shadow wrestling. He spoke to my inner bro in me.
Yeah, I don't know if any amount of meditation could help me prepare for that situation.
No, it scares the shit out of me. He's just someone who has taken it on with such stride and seems to really be all in on it and enjoying it at the same time. He's one of the few people I know that have been able to handle parenthood like it ain't no thing and just kind of keep on proceeding with his life and actually be a hands-on father. And one thing me and Gucci were talking about last night is how a lot of fathers aren't that hands-on or let the wife take care of certain things, so it's something that I admire in him, that he's all in and all about it and all about being in his child's life and helping out and not just putting it all on his wife.
And I don't the act of being a parent doesn't scare me. It's the financial burden and not being prepared to handle that. At this moment, that would be what would terrify me. God forbid a Tinder date goes awry, and you got some responsibilities to take care of. I always say when people ask me if I have kids or if I have pets, I say I'm barely taking care of myself. So and it's we've always talked about that in terms of financial stress is a real stress, and And I think that was one of the things that I also came to the realization of in my first trip to Peru was, light bulb went off as to why. I mean, there's a couple different reasons why, but that financial stress can really wear you down, and then you add a kid on top of that or a family on top of it. But I think like the actual act of getting up and changing diapers, or waking up in the middle of the night, like I'm down with all that. I don't have a problem with that. It's just diapers are expensive, baby food's expensive, college is expensive. So I think if I were to ever be at a situation, financially, I wouldn't be stressed.
It's not just the financial aspect that scares the shit out of me, and don't get me wrong, that does scare the shit out of me. I don't even have kids, and finance does scare the shit out of me. It's doing it right, and the ability to fuck up another human being's life. That's what scares me. The right now, if I get aggravated or if I'm acting like a jerk, the only one who that really affects is me and maybe you, because we share space together. But when you have a kid and you have those reactions like that where you're not thinking and you might slip up and say something that is going to stick with that kid for the rest of their life, or God forbid you push them or you hit them out of an act of anger, and that's something, you shake your head, and I shake my head too, because the way we were raised and how I view that. But in those situations when your anger gets the best out of you, that's the test of who you really are, and not tested, you really don't know who you are. So that's what really scares me about it.
Yeah, but you don't need to be tested to know that you're doing the work of self-improvement every day to make yourself a better person. And, listening to Power Athlete last week, John Welborn was talking about giving parent tips or advice or whatever, and he said that the sins of the father do not have to be the sins of the son. And I think for the longest time it was always like, well, killing the tree, it ends here. Uncle Steve is very vocal about saying, that's your legacy. So I think knowing that you're going to do everything in your power not to repeat those mistakes.
100%.
And that's not to say that you might not slip up, but you're going to be able to catch yourself in that moment because of the work you've been doing, Even now, with the amount of, and it just keeps popping up over and over with the meta, when you're in certain areas and certain locations or certain things trigger certain emotions, you have that ability to bring yourself back to that present moment and not go down that rabbit hole. And I think that's the same sort of thing when, it's one thing to get upset because the way you're chewing and joke about it or give you a stink eye. It's another thing where when you're raising someone, and I think it all goes back to education. We don't do this because, and this is the why. Always giving the why behind why you do or don't do something is huge. And that was just something that wasn't ever on the menu. It was just, don't do this because I said so. And when you asked for the why, you got whooped. Being a teacher and wanting to help people and doing all that stuff, it's you know that you have to always give the why. And it's tough to, when you see certain things in your friends or how they're doing things, you can't really give your opinion because I don't have a leg to stand on. It's like someone telling me not to use psychedelics who's never used psychedelics.
It's the same thing, and recurrent theme of this podcast and conversations we have is, that is why Mike Mal was such a good coach. He always told us the why. He always gave us the reason, and sometimes it was be like, I don't know, this is just what I think we should do. And I think when you can lift the veil for your child to see that you are not Oz, that you are not, obviously you're